Hey everybody, happy Friday, TGIF, all that stuff. Man, it's a cold day today. You know, this is the time of year, getting towards the end of April, you're going to be you should be wanting Hefeweizens or light refreshing beers, Saison, stuff like that. Well, today it's barely out of the 30s. I might not even get out of the 30s today. This is a time of the day, or a time of the year, unfortunately, for a good Russian Imperial Stout. So I'm going to do one that I picked up one of my recent out-of-town trips from a brewery I've really liked so far, the Brau Brothers Brewery out of Lucan, Minnesota. I'm going to do their Ivan the Great Russian Imperial Stout. Lucan, Minnesota, population 220. A little bit from the website. It says, a Brau Brothers take on a richly traditional style. A unique malt blend produces hints of pepper, walnut, black cherry, and fig. On the flip side, aggressive hopping with only summit hops gives this beer a noticeably spicy American twist. Complex, particularly at cellar temps, the fruity nuance of warm fermentation is allowed to poke through this strong roast beer. Comes in at 9.5% ABV, 90 IBUs. It's definitely up there on the IBUs, so let me get this in the glass and see what we have. A little bit of smoke from the bottle. Certainly doesn't glug like that last one I did. Give it a good aggressive pour there. Well, it certainly looks like a Russian Imperial Stout should look. That is black. You can't see a bit through it. Got a good finger of a beautiful, beautiful chocolate brown head. Just gorgeous. Really creamy looking. So, let me get a nose on this. Oh yeah, there's a lot of roasty malts here. Get a little banana or vanilla, chocolate, molasses, a little bit of those spicy, fruity hops, like burnt coffee grounds, maybe a little bit of fudge. Not getting a lot of that 9.5% ABV though, but maybe a little licorice in there, or anise, one or the other. Some caramel. Definitely smells like a roasty beer, which is what they said, strong roast beer. So let me give this a taste. Wow, that's pretty. Actually, your first sip is kind of really bitter, almost abrasive. It seems to mellow out as it proceeds down the tongue, but boy, that first little bit, there's a lot of bitterness here. Seemed to be a combination of the hops. I'm getting some piney, earthy undertones there, especially on the finish, like bitter dark coffee, bitter dark chocolate. Gets a little sweeter as you sip on it and your palate adjusts, but man, this is still a very, very, very bitter Russian Imperial Stout. Yeah, I got the, like I said, strong. There's a good hop bitterness there. No real well, they say only summit hops, so there's really just that one really hot flavor. But the hops don't stand out. That hop bitterness does not stand out as much as this coffee, dark chocolate, roasted malt bitterness. Really, really almost a slightly harsh beer. Definitely not a sweet Imperial Stout, that's for sure. Seems to be medium full, full bodied. It's a thick beer, that's for sure. Fairly light carbonation. It's smooth, but it's not as creamy or sweet as a lot of Imperial stouts. That's for sure. Really dry finish. I'm going to let this warm up. They say cellar temp. This has been out of the fridge maybe half an hour or so, and I know they don't warm up in the bottles as much, so let me sip on this a while, let it warm up in the glass, and I'll come back after a while with the final thoughts and grade. Okay, I'm back. It's been almost an hour or so. This warmed up really nicely. It's not quite room temperature yet. There's still a bit of coolness to it, but I think it's the cellar temp that they said it's best at. So on the nose, not a lot has changed. I'm still getting those dark malts. Not getting the hops so much. What little there were there in the first place. But it's really it's a dark roasty nose for sure. On the taste, it's smoothed out a little bit. It's a little sweeter, but there's no way you'll ever call this a sweet stout. That's for sure. This is definitely a very bitter stout. Combination of what little hops there are that are coming through at 90 IBUs that they said it has, but primarily those dark roasty malts, bitter coffee, bitter chocolate, primarily bitter coffee. It's a decent stout for my taste. It's probably maybe a bit heavy on the roastiness and bitterness for some people, but I like, I drink my coffee black and as strong as possible. So for a coffee fan like me, it's pretty good, but it definitely wouldn't be for everybody. This is definitely a bitter stout. So personally, I'm going to give it a good. I don't know what it's gonna do with some aging. I got a couple bottles left out of the 4-pack, but the Ivan the Great Russian Imperial Stout from Brau Brothers, at this point in time, again, not knowing the age, I'm sure it's 3 or 4 months old. I don't see any kind of date on here at all, so I have no idea when this was brewed. But I imagine with some aging it might be different, but for now, the Ivan the Great Russian Imperial Stout from Brau Brothers Breweries, it's going to get a 7.5 out of 10 for me. Decent beer. Probably a little, like I said, a little too roasty, too bitter for most people's taste. Definitely not a sweet stout. So 7.5. Till next time, everybody. Cheers. Let's keep drinking good beers.